There was nothing submitted in writing and there are no members of the public in attendance.
Okay, all right.
Okay, now are we in? Make sure we get recorded this time for everything gets recorded well. Thank you so much. In the interest of, we're going to try to keep, we have some important things on here, but we want to try to keep to our time because everybody's time is precious. And we're going to get out of here by 1:30, 1:15. So we'll move right into the advocacy priorities. This is attached in your documents. You'll find in your packet, you'll find a document called San Diego Commission for Arts and Culture Advocacy Committee Priorities for 23-24. I may not have is the date right on that, Christine, or should it be, if we're talking about the budget cycle, should it be 24-25? The priorities are actually for work we're going to start doing now through next year. So I guess that would be my first question to you all is, do we keep it at 23-24 or should we make it 23-25? What makes most sense?
Isn't the city already in fiscal year 24?
We are in yeah. So it looks like this was regarding calendar year.
Yes.
So, just to clarify, the city is within the fiscal year 2024 currently. In fiscal year 2025, budget development process will be happening.
Right. So the question is, we're going to be asking commissioners to take action now, like starting this year before the end of the year, and to take action at the beginning of next year, to take action on topics and items that will be coming in the subsequent budget year. So that's what the question is.
So maybe we just clarify by saying advocacy priorities fiscal year 2024 to 2025.
Or calendar year 23-24.
Okay. I'm open either. What makes most sense? I just want to be clear. I want people to be clear that this is for some of the things we have on here, which we're going to go through here in a second, are activities that are, as I said, taking place now, between now and the end of the year, and then the beginning of next year, 2024.
I say maybe we just add language to say calendar year.
Okay.
24 and not overcomplicated.
Is that okay with you?
Oh, that's
Commissioner
fine
Kim?
too. That's fine too.
Okay, great. I need to, sorry, I need a pen. Could somebody have?
Here you
a
go.
pen? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, calendar year. All right. So thank you so much for that. So starting out, we have our vision and our purpose. And some of this language, and you all should have, most of you received this, right, in advance of today, as a draft from me individually, not as commissioners, as the Advocacy Commission. And so this language is taken, is a combination of things that was taken from the California Arts Council and from our webpage for the Arts and Culture Commission. So I'm entirely open to suggestions of revisions, or if something doesn't quite make sense, that you let me know. Do we want to read it? Do you want me to read it out loud, or do you want to just let me know?
I don't think we need to read it out loud.
Okay.
I do have one question here.
Okay.
In the first bullet point, when we talk about TOT to equal 1 cent, in our previous conversations, did we want it just to equal, or did we aspire for it to eventually go beyond that 1 cent?
My understanding, and I'm going to call on Christine to help me clarify this. I took this language also right out of someplace. Right now, the movement is to equal 1 cent because we're not at 1 cent. So that's the whole Penny for the Arts campaign. And so the goal is, and it's a multi-year thing. And so we're nowhere near, I want to say we're about half, maybe half, 2/3 there. And the goal of the council members or some that I've spoken with is to get to the penny for the arts. And you're right, it's not very clear in here, but approved by the city council in 2012. Christine, do you want to add anything on that?
No, I think you summed it up correctly in
Does
terms
that,
of.
no, but Leon, does that make
So
sense?
there were no conversations before about going beyond that 1 cent. I remember there was some kind of conversation saying that the penny for the arts, the 1 cent was an easy way to talk about it, but that it was actually that we were aspiring beyond the one penny. But I might be wrong.
I don't recall those
Okay,
conversations.
I just
but
wanted
there
to
are
clarify.
more conversations happening in advocacy communities versus city staff.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm a little confused, 'cause for some reason I have 7% in my head and the goal being, trying to get beyond that. So 1% of 10%, I'm a little.
I took this straight out of the, I should have made with a citation where this was, but I took this language straight out of the council action, this penny for the arts 5-year blueprint in 2012. That's what that language comes
I could just
directly
be
out of
looking
there.
at It differently as far as.
Yeah, well, it's a very, no, it's,
7% of.
Yeah.
the Overall.
no, and it,
1%.
Right.
Of every.
right, because we're not at,
10%.
that's what's so confusing about it is
Okay.
we are nowhere near 1 cent. And so to say 1 out of the 10.5 cents, when we don't use that language every day and talking about it, is confused. It is confusing to me too. But I don't know. I don't think any of us said that. That was Christine, whenever that penny for the arts 5-year blueprint was developed in 2012, that was the language they used, right? You were here probably. Do you remember anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, that was the language that was used and clarified. That was part of the blueprint that city council had reviewed and, approved back then.
So I think at least a couple of the council members that I've spoken with so far, they seem to understand that penny. It took me a while, quite honestly, to like, wait, okay, what? The penny to figure that part of the campaign out. But the council members seem to understand that concept of, even though that's not, Imani, that's not like the percentage that we talk about, because I think the budget percentage is completely, is not that
Right, and
number.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But we may have to, that's why we, in addition to this is just kind of a blueprint. And Commissioner Martin mentioned this to me on the side just a couple seconds ago. What this document is intended to be, I should have started with that, is this is just kind of the foundational document that we can, I hope to take to the full commission if our advocacy committee approves. And what comes next out of this is, what are we going to do?
Mhm.
So here's the piece that every commissioner has. Then the second piece of it is, what's the plan and what are you going to do based on the dates? So that's why intentionally it is not as specific and
Right.
as detailed as it could be.
Totally
But I'm open
understandable.
to including
Totally
things.
understandable.
With regards to our advocacy plan, we
Yeah.
have that one bullet point of meeting with council members and the mayor.
Yes.
At our last meeting on October 13th, we also talked about reaching out to different organizations that are funded by the city within our districts and citywide,
Mhm.
and engaging those organizations to participate in some of these meetings.
Yes.
And I wonder too, if we can use language that's a little bit more detailed than just meeting, meeting with them. So
Sure.
whether it be,
Well,
I'm just thinking out loud
Yeah.
here. So and in addition to just meeting, I think we also talked about sending emails or some kind of communications
now that's the
plan.
plan.
Oh, okay.
So that's the advocacy plan, and there's more to that than this is, like I said, the foundational document, but
Mhm.
then the specifics of how that happens are going to be the details of when and where and what time and
Oh, got it.
and
Okay.
what we're going to say. But I made a note I think we can, I think the second piece there says participate in advocacy action, but that's organizations. I think what you're talking about is funded arts, nonprofits and others that are funded by the commission.
We had talked about that there
Yes,
was a
yes.
link on the commission's website where we can click onto, various districts to see
Uh-huh.
which arts agencies were funded in particular districts. So if we're going to approach this by district, for example, it would be, I think, powerful for commissioners to reach out to, and get to know better arts organizations in our districts, so that we could help them tell their story, because I think they're better advocates than we are, right? Because they're the ones that are doing the hard work.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's the missing piece, is the effect of the TOT funds used in the community and the difference that it makes. And I think we did a really good job contacting the council members and speaking with them, because they were all 100% on board with the increase of TOT. But I think the missing piece is the people that it actually affects, the community that actually benefits from the extra arts and culture events because of the TOT. So I would love for us to, that being a part of, that would be the new piece
Sure.
of advocacy.
So maybe we make that the second piece, or the first one is the communicate the commission advocacy priorities to the mayor and members of the city council. And then the second would be, I can draft some sort of
Maybe something
language,
like-
but
Maybe something like
collaborate with or-
identify
yes, okay.
identify arts agencies funded by the city of San Diego to participate in the process.
Sure. Okay.
I would
Or to
even,
provide feedback, maybe, or feedback's not a good word, but to provide information or something to that effect. To provide information on the impact of
Yes, that would be
commission
great.
funding for Imani. What do
no,
you
that's
think?
what I was just going to say, and just keep it really simple. Just what we stated is really reach out to organizations and hear their story of how this impacts their organization and their community that they serve. So just
Okay.
be real specific with that.
Okay, so I can, anybody can feel free to send me a sentence, or I can draft it and just send it out to you all again. Maybe, like I said, when we'll talk next steps here in a second. Okay, and then that note on the bottom, that doesn't necessarily have to stay here, but in conversations that I've had with a number of people in City Hall and in the mayor's office, they have kind of, I don't want to say put me off, but what they've said is that, well, we're waiting to see the Creative City Cultural Plan. And actually it was a powerful, I'm going to look at my notes. Let me see if I can find it. It was some powerful language that a staffer gave me, but and it goes to what you guys were just talking about council districts and funders. And I knew you all would be interested in this, because the way the staff person put it to me is that what they will be looking for is the equity in the cultural plan, and to see how, we're anticipating that the cultural plan will have some specific recommendations as to what kind of programming and where, and that will be an impetus for our advocacy for funding, that we need to accomplish these goals if we really want to implement the cultural plan. Now, of course, we all have to wait for the cultural plan to look at it and the council to talk about it and the mayor. But that's why this note is on here. So I don't know if you want to keep this note on here or not, but that's why it's on there. In other words, we may not be able to get everything we want this year. It's kind of what I'm saying on here, but we're anticipating that within the next year or so, we're going to have more information that will help.
May I ask a dumb question?
You ask away.
The mayor's Creative City Cultural Plan, is that something that it comes out with every year, or is this something
No,
brand
this
new?
is a, Christine, this is what they've been
This is
working on.
the creative plan that we've been working on,
Yes.
all the meetings that we've been working on.
So yeah, just to clarify this, the Creative City is the cultural planning process where we just completed a lot of the public
Okay.
engagement
So
this
this is the
summer.
big,
This
this is a
is-
big one.
This is the big plan for the city. So it'll be a 7 to 10 year plan when it's, finalized.
Okay.
And it goes straight to the mayor? Is that where it goes first?
Well, we have a whole outline of a schedule. So, right now, the cultural plan consultants are currently analyzing a lot of the feedback
Right.
and research that's happened to date. Findings will be presented to the commission in January,
Hmm.
but then it's going to take, that's just the beginning, right? So there's a whole planning development after that findings process. And so it's anticipated that the plan will be presented to city council in winter of 2025.
Okay.
Oh, so that's going to be
yes.
after the budget is determined. So we shouldn't have to wait for the city's cultural plan. I was
Right.
confused because I know that we're going through the creative planning process, but I didn't realize it was going to be the mayor's
Well,
creative plan.
I think that's, I don't know, that's what the mayor's
Like, yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's semantic.
right. It's ours, it's the city's, right?
Right.
Yes.
Um,
I think they call it in, that's why I put it in there. It's called, isn't it called the mayor's creative? That's what it's called in.
so if this is,
Right.
if the creative city cultural plan is going to come out and we're anticipating it for the winter of next year, we're already going to be in another budget cycle by
Absolutely.
that time.
Yes,
So
yes.
I don't know. It does, I
Well-
think it's good to have this in mind,
Uh-huh.
but we shouldn't hold back on pushing the mayor, right? And city,
Correct.
we should actually, this should be part of the
Correct.
conversation.
Absolutely. And part of the conversation, it kind of funnels back up to the penny for the arts. This last funding cycle, as I understand it, we were held harmless. So even though there was an increase in the Arts and Culture Commission budget, in fact, didn't keep up with inflation and everything else and wasn't making progress toward that penny for the arts plan. So yes, it's much more funding than we had in the pandemic and every other time, but it's not even to where it could be right now. So in the meantime, before we get this culture plan, we should still be striving to get to the penny for the arts. That's the talking points, at least. Any comments, Commissioner
I think
Martin?
the priorities that we've outlined here are sufficient to take this document, keeping in mind it's going to be a living document that we take to the full commission to move on.
Mhm.
And I don't think we need to have like the level of specificity regarding the strategies and tactics of how we execute.
Okay,
But yeah, let's move it forward.
okay,
And the cultural plan is something to absolutely keep in our mind, but not something to delay or wait advocacy on for any
Right.
reason.
Mhm.
right. Right.
And it'll provide additional insight and funding priorities, but we're not
Hopefully.
waiting to see what the plan says and then do
Right.
that. So.
That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'll add this other, I think we can, Christine, can we, if I add this other sentence, I don't know if I need to have the Advocacy Commission sign off on it again. I don't know if we have a date for the retreat and I don't know what's on the agenda for the retreat, but it would be nice if we could carve out a little bit of time, maybe 20 minutes even to talk about this.
I'm sure we can work something out in terms of having that time for you to talk
Okay.
about it. And then I would just add that there's no action today
Correct.
identified. So I think you can just take their feedback.
Right. So this is, but I thought we would come through our committee first and have us sign off on it and then ask you to put it on the agenda for the full commission.
But right now, there's no action on the part of,
Right.
on the agenda. So I think it's just time to get the feedback from your committee members.
Right. So we've done that. So what is the next step that we need to do to get it on the agenda for the full commission?
It could just be, so the advocacy committee, your committee has an ongoing item
Mhm.
on commission agendas. So I think that we could carve out a little bit of time at the retreat to have this conversation.
Okay, is this
If you could
something, so
report-
this isn't something that the commission needs to approve or adopt?
That can be move forward as a chair. You can discuss that with the chair of the commission.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's what I'd like to do. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, great, thank you. It says other reports on here, but before I go to the next, before we leave this space right now and go on to the California Arts Council program and funding, I wanted to make another note about the timeline. So my understanding, again, from what I've gotten to the information I got today is that this budget memo, we did some talking about a budget memo that was put forward by Councilmember Campillo and Councilmember Moreno. That's adding language. We've talked about that a little bit, adding language to the budget process that would enshrine, if you will, the fact that the independent budget analyst needs to put in advance, needs to have that amount designated for, it's very complicated for arts and culture. That did pass out of, I didn't get the committee date, but that passed out of the budget, the council budget committee. I don't have a copy of what it looks like, but my understanding is what they agreed upon is not much of a different process than it is now. What they agreed upon was that, yes, the independent budget analyst is going to have this language, but they're going to look at it again in May when the May revise comes out and when they see how much money is left or, how much money we're getting and what kind of priorities that the city has at that time. So the next budget hearing that I have, tentative that they're looking to hold is in December 11th and 12th. And so in the meantime, what I want to ask all of us is the advocacy committee, and I want to communicate to the full commission, now is the time to develop those relationships with your members of council and the mayor's office. And it doesn't even have to be detailed conversations. It can be setting the stage. Everybody's calendar is really super busy between now. We've got holidays, Thanksgiving between now and December. But now is the time to at least initiate those relationships so they know that it's on your radar, and you know that they know that it's on your radar. So that's what we're gonna ask. We as advocacy committee with this document are gonna ask the full commission to do. So more information to come on that potential budget hearing in December. Christine, do you have any other new or different information on that?
Not at this time, but you know, we'll go through like the budget calendar with you.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Yeah, in the months ahead. But
Okay, good.
yeah, so those will be, you know, typically those are identified in a calendar that the IBA puts out. So we'll
Right.
walk you through that.
Okay, good. And that's already come out? No, or anyway,
I'd
someone
have
was
to
gonna
double
send me a
check.
copy of
Yeah,
it.
I'd have to
Okay.
double check to see if they've put that out yet. I'm not sure.
Okay, okay, good.
Okay, I know our time is
Yes.
really short,
Yes.
but you had a great presentation on about the audience spending and
Oh, the
yes.
AEP 6
Yes,
study?
yes.
yes, I really think we need to include some facts about the AEP that, you know, just showing that it didn't matter what communities, as a matter of fact, BIPOC communities actually spent more money,
Mhm.
which means if you spend more money on arts for BIPOC communities, you'll actually get more funds. So instead of us being underserved, it would
Yeah.
actually benefit to allow that money to get into historically overlooked. And I know we're doing an amazing job. And that's the point of reaching out to the organizations that these new grants are affecting, and how it shows across the board, across the nation, that BIPOC is spending their money. So they're putting that money into the TOT that
Absolutely.
recycles back in and has a positive effect. So I think that's just, that was like one of the most important pieces that I grabbed out of that report.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And we'll look forward to, I don't know, do we hear from that again at the next, or we got the presentation at the last commission meeting? Are we going to get updates on, I forgot what the status, are we going to continue to get updates on it, or?
Yeah,
discuss it from
I
time to
think
time?
there's going to be more deeper conversations regarding it in January is what we're anticipating.
Okay, okay. Okay, good. And that seems to work. That would probably work with our advocacy timeline. Then
Absolutely.
we'll have some better, hopefully some more information on the budget, on the city council budget, and where we're headed with things. Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Thank you for that input, all of you. All right. Next item is the California Arts Council programs and funding. And I can't remember if everybody got this. I got this. We're all on the list. Christine, I may have to call on you again, because Jonathan sits on the California Arts Council, and this was kind of an item that just sort of, I don't want to say popped up, but it was a discussion. My understanding was that the programs policy committee was having at the California Arts Council, and the key piece of it is somewhere on page 2, but that they are proposing to drop eligible organizations with budgets over $3 million from funding for this funding. Christine, do you have any more light to shed on this?
Sure. So just to clarify, Jonathan does not serve on the California
Oh.
Art Council. So there's other individuals that serve on that council.
Oh, okay, okay.
So the California Art Council, it's a state agency.
Mhm.
And so their policy committee in October made recommendations regarding some programmatic changes for their next funding cycle. It was just a discussion at their committee meeting level, and they issued this as part of that, which you have, which kind of outlined their recommendations, which were then discussed at the overall city California Art Council. So just to synopsize that, they did recommend that limiting eligibility to organizations for funding with budgets under 3 million. So that is a big shift in terms of a recommendation. They also recommended limiting state and local partner funding to the agencies that have budgets under 1.5 million. So just to be transparent, the city is a state local partner for California Art Council here in San Diego County. And so, obviously our budget's over 1.5 million. And then lastly, one of the other things they were recommending was eliminating the state and regional network program that the California Art Council facilitates. Also, which is outlined here, is they recommended adding or kind of replacing, using those funds that they were proposing to basically reallocate towards some other programs that they were proposing. So my understanding is that they will be having a further conversation at an upcoming California Art Council meeting on November 17th.
It's just 17. Yes,
Is it-
yes.
it's
Uh-huh.
only on Zoom?
Yes, you can watch it and make public comment on at the California Art Council meetings
Right.
via Zoom.
Right.
And then my understanding is they'll be doing voting in December on the
Voting is
item.
December. Okay. And so the question that I had for the advocacy commissioners is, do we want to have a statement on behalf of our commission to submit in writing, or do we want to just encourage everybody to advocate as individuals? Christine, I asked you the other day what the dollar amount that we're talking about is lost to the City of San Diego Arts and Culture Commission.
So the state local partner program, typically this year, for example, our funding cycle that we're currently in, the city received about $66,600. And those funds we use countywide and specifically putting back out to the county in terms of building capacity, building types of programs. And it does shift from year to year in terms of funding cycle, but typically it's between $50,000 and $70,000 per cycle.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. And is this, I wasn't sure if I was completely understanding this because it seemed pretty drastic. But it's talking about the second or the first sentence on here, the record funding level of 180 million is returning to a baseline funding of 25 million. That's a huge, is that, am I reading that correctly? And I mean, what, is there more to that than, I mean, that's a huge drop.
My understanding is a lot of funding they had prior to this was one-time funding, and a lot of it did come out of pandemic funding. So for example, the California Creative Corp program actually was conceptualized and funded through, those types of funds in the state legislation.
And so did we get more at some point? Or less, or we've always gotten about this, you said about this 50 to 70,000.
It's varied just depending on funding cycle, but it averages probably between 50 and 70,000 per funding cycle. Sometimes their cycles have been 18 months, sometimes they've been 12, and sometimes they've been 2 years.
Okay, so the next meeting is on November 17th, which is next week. So I'm not sure we can get a written statement to submit by. It's been canceled? Oh, no, but this was the California Arts Council meeting, right? Yeah, I think that, I was like, okay, great. Whoa, that's canceled too. That's the California Arts Council meeting to discuss the second just reading or discussion of this item. So any thoughts from you all, my colleagues, on this?
I think I definitely need to just read this instead.
Okay.
Because, yeah, just really read it and understand what the changes are and what they want, and then just to come back and see if we agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much for us to do at this point, but I
Right.
would add something in the future, perhaps on our advocacy plan document, to factor in some type of state level advocacy as well.
Right.
Right.
Like into that process in an ongoing form. And also to take advantage of the folks that we do have locally who are on the California Arts Council, whether formally or other working groups.
Yeah, we have 2 in San Diego, which is great. Leah Goodwin and
Vicky Estrada.
Vicky Estrada.
And there's a creative economy working group as well that a couple of local folks sit on that I'm about to join as well too, that we haven't met yet.
Well, there we
So
go.
Anything else we can do to leverage
You're
those
it.
things, but
Okay.
I will add that kind of drastic reduction is going to be pretty massive. Like it's going to be felt in a lot of ways. But again, like we're going to have to wait and see what folks on the commission decide regarding these other like alternative scenarios to try and soften the plunge, so to speak.
Right. And,
Oh.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just want to say, I think it would be important because these are San Diegans, they are a part of our city and county, that maybe we have a presentation or a meeting
Yeah.
with Leah.
Yeah,
and-
let's ask for that. Bill, can you help me? And Christina, I'll make a note of that for,
And I think it would be best, the entire commission, especially
Okay.
our relationship with county and city,
Sure.
not, what is the plan for us to connect to, make our dollars go further, make our artists, benefit from both commissions.
Yes.
How is that going to work, especially because they're revamped, they're new, but they're not non-existent. So they did exist and they're just now newly existing. So how can we play a role in that, in partnership?
absolutely.
County and city
That's
in some
good.
form?
Okay, I made a note of it, but if you'll help me, Val and Gabrielle, if you'll help me remember that, and Christine. Right, and I would like to get more information about the, they're ending the state and regional networks. They're talking about creating new multicultural anchor institutions programs. And some of these other, I want to call them smaller, which they may not be, but the Creative Youth Development, the Native American Initiative, Emerging Culture Districts, Multicultural. So we fund a lot of that through the commission. That would be, I guess, if I was going to make an immediate statement on it to the California Arts Council, is that funding that we get goes into those type of programs already at this level. But there may, that may not be the case for every organization that gets funded. I know, Christine, any comment?
So can you just clarify what you meant? Because I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so in this memo here, it talks about in lieu of, since they're dropping those organizations that have over a certain budget amount, I mean, ours is only that, 66,000, 70,000 range. They're talking about setting up other new programs that I guess will be run by them from the council. And this funding will go directly to what did I say? Native American Initiative, Emerging Culture Districts. And so that's what I said was my immediate argument would be that for us to retain that funding was that we already fund those kind of programs through the commission.
Well, we retain funds from, go through an application process
Right,
to
right.
receive funds for the
Sure.
state local partnership. And then
Gotcha.
there's certain obligations that we have under state local partnership. Typically, as I mentioned, we use those funds specifically for capacity building. So technical assistance programs. In the past, we've worked with Rise San Diego, for example, to better equip small and BIPOC-led organizations and being able to apply for grants on their own.
Okay, fabulous. I think Commissioner's right. It would be helpful to have a presentation on this to the full commission. So for the November 17th, in the meantime, then I'll look at this carefully and decide individually if we feel like we want to communicate something from ourselves as individual commissioners for the time being.
And just FYI,
Yes.
as we're finishing up our cultural plan, which we're not finishing up, but we've pretty much taken all the data pretty much, or the public data in a sense. collected.
It's ongoing.
It's still ongoing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when we do wrap up sometime next year, that's when the county starts their plan. So that'll be really good to kind of pass the baton. I just feel that there's so much funds in the county
Right.
that we as the artists and the organizations, just if we kind of do some form of collaboration, some form of partnership, that it would
Absolutely.
just benefit, kind of fill in some gaps that
Yes.
we have in the city and in the county.
Absolutely.
So,
Yes,
yes,
please.
please.
County's Arts and Culture Commission is having their retreat next week, Wednesday, I think on the
Oh.
15th, and it's open to the public.
Oh, is it?
So.
You said next Wednesday?
And, yes, ma'am, next Wednesday, like 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at I think the Overland campus, or one of the ones up north, not the county admin building downtown.
Is it on the web? How can we? that?
I'll dig around and see what I can
Okay.
scrounge, and then I'll share with Bell to push out to whoever's interested. if
Perfect.
that works.
Are you going?
Great.
I'm probably going to attend part of it. I'm not a regular member of the
Okay.
council anyway, but because it's open to the public, I'm going to poke my head in the door and see what's going on.
Absolutely.
I think it's also important to mention that while the county has a ton of money, their Arts and Culture Commission has no money.
Exactly. Like, I know, that's.
But they're trying, I think that was part of my
But isn't that
understanding
a
is
part
that
of it? That's like
they're-
the whole cultural plan and everything is to pull some money in
That's my
because they didn't even
understanding.
exist.
Right.
And so now they exist. So now it's like, okay, so now you gotta fill the pot in some form.
Yeah,
It existed a long time ago.
Vanished. And now it's back. Exactly. Without a dollar. So
Yeah.
that can't be. That can't be the way.
Yeah, no, that's all very good,
Refusing.
helpful information. What?
When you have nothing, only way is up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it is my understanding that there are either entities, individuals, the commission, the county commission, that they are going to be asking or they want funds from the Board of Supervisors. So, well, but that's good for us to monitor and, listen and find out what's going on there for sure.
Being supportive.
Absolutely.
There might be an
Absolutely.
opportunity to issue a joint statement as a San Diego Commission and a county commission.
There you
I
go.
like that. I like that
That's
idea.
wonderful.
They're going through their strategic priorities and planning process, so
Yeah,
they're identifying what they're going to do.
that would be awesome and that would be powerful, right? What do you guys think?
I think that's great.
I love
Okay.
it.
Okay. Made to know that. All right, thank you. We're a couple minutes, we're 5 minutes in, Christine.
Oh my.
So it's over to you. So you have 10 minutes for.
Well, I won't need 10 minutes. Just for the point of timing, I'll update you on two things right now. So just as a reminder, the city has the impact funding opportunity currently open. The deadline is November 13th. So it's coming up soon. So if you know any organizations who might be a good fit for that opportunity, please share with them today.
Can you tell me what you're looking for the impact grant? Like, give me just an example.
Just to
or-
clarify that
Yes.
the impact funding is specifically for organization, it's open to artists and organizations, doing projects that are reflective of and focused on areas, communities of concern, San Diego Promise Zone, that fit into one of three different focus areas, either arts and heritage, arts and sustainability, or arts in a just city. And it's an 18-month grant or funding that will be $100,000, and there's 6 months of planning and development and then implementation in the next fiscal year.
You said, I'm sorry, heritage, sustainability, and.
We'll get you a copy of the guidelines so you have
I
all
have
the
it. I have it.
information.
I
you
have it.
need.
No worries, no worries. I just, if I write it and see it.
There was a pretty large email that went out
I know, I read it
today.
I already read it. Oh, I did read it.
Was that today? Was it?
Just a
Okay.
quick clarifying question. Is this same impact program that we have now the same program that Kim Desmond has through her office, or is that a separate program also called Impact or with Impact in the title?
So the impact funding we have is based on a new funding category that's outlined in the council policy for TOT specifically. So our category has been around since our policy changes a couple of years back, and this is the first time we've been able to launch the impact category. So it's distinct and different than the other funding.
Thank
The other update I'll just share, which went out today as well, is that on Tuesday, November 14th, we will be celebrating in a ribbon cutting ceremony, the newest artwork in the city civic art collection at Children's Park. So Children's Park went through an improvement process in order to kind of open up the park and provide new amenities. So that process included integration of an artwork by local artist Miki Iwasaki. So at 9 to 9:30 will be the ribbon cutting at Children's Park in downtown. So you all should have that information. We'd love to see you there. And that concludes my updates.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, well, we are finished on time. And so it's not an agenda item, but does anybody have anything they would like to tell us or comment on regarding advocacy, regarding the Arts and Culture Commission, anything? Hot topics. No, thank you. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you all so much. Thanks for coming down here for, in the middle of the day and for your time and attention to this, because this is work. I mean, this is additional work for all of us. And, but it's exciting for me. I like to do it. And so hopefully we can make a great impact and help promote arts and culture in San Diego. Thank you all. Thanks. And have a great long weekend if you have a long weekend. And I guess I'm not going to see anybody before Thanksgiving, right? It doesn't sound like. So have a great holiday week as well.
Right.
Weekend.
Thank you. You too.